Tyler Reddick is back next year with RCR, and we'll talk about why they might have the best lineup of young drivers in Cup. All that and more coming up next. What's going on, everybody? If I haven't earned your subscription, hopefully today is the day I will earn that subscription. Also, we're doing a Q&A to celebrate reaching 4,000. So if you've got a question for the Q&A, leave it down in the comment section. All right. Today, during their PBR team unveil, Richard Childress announced also that Tyler Reddick is signed into next season. So if you look at RCR and their RCR Alliance, their future is very bright because you've got Tyler Reddick, who is absolutely on fire right now. He is looking like all of that potential is starting to come true, and I really expect he will get a win or two this season if things keep going the way that they are going. Also, you've got Austin Dillon, who has greatly improved. Tyler Reddick has really complimented him. You've seen an improvement in his performance ever since Tyler Reddick got there, so Tyler Reddick is really pushing him to be a much better driver than he has been in the past. So you're solid at RCR, but also let's look at the RCR Alliance, the drivers that they have there. You've got Ross Chastain, who's arguably just as hot right now as Tyler Reddick. He is, I think he's got 2 top 5s in the last 2 races, and he has shown tremendous speed this season, leading tons of laps. This has been an absolute breakout year for Ross Chastain, who is also in that RCR Alliance. His teammate, Daniel Suarez, has shown speed at times. This is the best Daniel Suarez has looked in a car in a long time, possibly since his Xfinity Series days. And I know a lot of people are hard on Suarez, but let's not forget he is an Xfinity Series champion, so the potential is there. If they get the right crew chief combination, Daniel Suarez could take off there. So you've got 2 good driver, or you got 1 really good driver there, and 1 driver that potentially, if he gets over that hump, if he's like a Martin Truex, where it took Martin Truex, a few years to find that right crew chief combination, team combination, to get over the hump, that could definitely be Suarez and Chastain over there. So that's 4 really good drivers that are fairly young. I think Austin Dillon's maybe 30, 31, so he's not super old by any stretch of the imagination. So that's 4 good drivers there. Then you bring in the colleague team over there with Justin Hayley. Justin Hayley's got a ton of upside. He hasn't shown much of it yet. He's gotten into a ton of crashes this season, so we still don't really know what he's got in that car. But that 16 car for colleague has run good with their rotation of drivers, Daniel Hemric, AJ Allmendinger, and Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson, also another young guy over there. So they can keep building on that. So RCR and their alliance is sitting in really, really good shape. And by the way, that Petty GMS team, that is also an RCR team where you've got Erik Jones. Erik Jones is an absolute stud. He has had some great runs. He hasn't had the last couple weekends. He hasn't had the finish that he probably wanted to have, but he has looked really good. He's just got to put it all the way together and get those finishes to reward those good runs that he has had. And Ty Dillon, he's probably got the least amount of seat time in the past few years, so it's going to take a while to round him into shape to see what he's got. Obviously, he's got a ton of Cup experience, but all of that Cup experience was in bad cars. Now, how do these drivers compare to other teams' young drivers? Well, let's just throw Hendrick out because they've got an absolutely stacked lineup. They've got the past 2 champions over there in the 5 and the 9, and both of them are under 30. Alex Bowman has won a ton of races. He is right on the cusp of being, if he can add some consistency to his runs, he is right on the cusp of being just an absolutely elite with those other 2 guys. And William Byron, of course, already has wins. You forget how young William Byron is. William Byron is still super young. He's younger than just about all of those guys I just mentioned. So William Byron is also another one with a tremendous amount of upside and already has wins in the Cup Series. But outside of Hendrick, I don't see any other team with an alliance of as many good young drivers as RCR. I mean, you look at Penske, they've got Joey Logano, who's 30, and they've got Ryan. Joey Logano's 30. It seems like he's been around forever, but he's only 30 years old. Ryan Blaney, he's another young guy with a ton of upside. And Harrison Burton, we don't know what he's got there. He's had some speed at times, but he's another guy, much like Justin Hayley. He's just gotten in a ton of wrecks, which you expect from rookies. Rookies are going to get into those situations. But you don't know quite what you have yet. Austin Cindric definitely has a ton of upside. So you've got 3 drivers in the Penske Alliance. But RFK, who is also in that Penske Alliance, you've got Brad Keselowski, who is aging out of the sport. He is not. He's closer to the end than he is the beginning, obviously. And you've got Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher is very, very consistent, but with that Roush Fenway equipment, even with the Penske Alliance, you haven't seen a lot of great runs from him. I know he got the top 10 last week, and they might improve from there. But Chris Buescher, even if he's like the best driver in the world, he hasn't been able to show anything with the teams he's been with. Now let's take a look at Stuart Haas. Stuart Haas, obviously, with Kevin Harvick leading the charge. Eric Almirola is retiring this year. Those two guys are on their way out. Who they get replaced with is going to be a huge component of this. But the two young drivers that Stuart Haas has, and I'm going to throw Ryan Preece in there, so let's say the three young drivers that Stuart Haas has. Ryan Preece, he's got a ton of talent. I'm big on him. I think he is going to be like an absolute stud when he starts getting in the actual Stuart Haas racing equipment. But I also think that, obviously, the race winner last week, Chase Briscoe, I think he has got just as much talent. And Cole Custer, that's the big question mark, right? Is Cole Custer going to put it together and figure it out like he did in the Xfinity Series, or will he continue to struggle? That's the big question, right? You see flashes here and there from Cole Custer, but he's much like Alex Bowman in that he is not consistent. And unlike Alex Bowman, he doesn't have as many flashes of brilliance. So Cole Custer is the big question mark there. So with only two verified, absolute, guys that I think are going to be studs, and Chase Briscoe and Ryan Preece, you can't say that Stuart Haas has a ton of young talent. And that brings us to Toyota. Look at all the Toyota drivers. They are all like 40 and above. Like Denny Hamlin 40, Martin Truex 40, Kurt Busch 40. Their other young drivers, Christopher Bell has shown a ton of upside, and Bubba Wallace, he continues to be super streaky. He has not had much to write home about after Daytona, so and he gets all kinds of scrutiny in the world anyway. Every time I say Bubba Wallace, comments fill up with I like Bubba Wallace or I hate Bubba Wallace. So he's very polarizing. He's very much like Kyle Busch in that sense, except he doesn't have the wins. And Kyle Busch, he's not as young as he once was either. He is starting to push 40. So Toyota's driver lineup, even though they have a ton of people in the Xfinity Series and stuff like that, obviously their big blue chip prospect is Ty Gibbs right now. But we don't really know actually how good Ty Gibbs is because, as Ryan Sieg said the other week, he's sitting in the best car every weekend. He's supposed to win. That car is so much better than everybody else's car that we really don't know how good he is going to be. But yeah, so this signing of Tyler Reddick has really solidified RCR and Chevrolet, who I think have the best set of young drivers going forward. Hopefully they can keep all these guys if you're a Chevrolet fan, and the future looks bright for RCR and their alliance. All right, guys, that is all I've got for you today. If you got a comment, leave it down in the comment section. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.